In other news, dancehall entertainer Desmond Ballantyne, more popularly known as Ninja Man, was today sentenced to life in prison.
Reggae brings to mind the easy rhythm, the strum of guitars, and the voices of Bob Marley and Peter Tosh that carried across the world. The music was more than entertainment. It was a tool for protest and a call for change, often pointing to the struggles faced in Jamaica and elsewhere. It carried hope and strength to people who listened. However, some of its most famous names are also connected to serious crimes. There have been cases of murder, substance trafficking, molestation, and violence linked to stars who once stood as symbols of freedom and justice. Here are reggae legends who have been linked to serious crimes. Vybz Kartel. Kartel became one of Jamaica's most famous entertainers in the early 2000s when he built his name in dancehall. He was known for his bold style on rhythms and mixtapes that spread through the Caribbean. In the year 2009, his fame grew further with Pon de Floor, a collaboration with Major Lazer led by Diplo. That song later became part of Beyoncé's hit Run the World Girls, which gave her writing credit on one of her most recognized songs. He was seen as a success from Jamaica, moving from the ghetto to the mainstream stage, and he often spoke of his hometown of Portmore. In September 2011, he was arrested on several charges, including possession of a hard substance and homicide. 2.5 years later, he was sentenced to life in prison for taking the life of Clive Lizard Williams, though Kartel has always said he was innocent. Following the arrest in September, Jamaica's major investigation task force laid charges of murder, conspiracy to murder, and illegal possession of a firearm. Police claimed that on July 11, 2011, Kartel and others planned to take the life of Barrington Bossy Burton, a 20-year-old man, 7-year-old businessman, and music promoter from Portmore. Burton was shot while standing with friends along Walker's Avenue in the Gregory Park area. His legal problems grew further. Judge Martin Gale of Jamaica's Supreme Court ordered him to pay Jamaican $15 million, which is about United States $173,066, to promoter Alton Salmon. This was for failing to perform at a concert on August 14, 2009, in Turks and Caicos. Salmon told the Jamaica Gleaner newspaper that he had a verbal deal with Kartel, agreeing to pay him $18,000 with an advance of $8,500 already given. When Kartel did not appear, the event ended in a riot, hurting Salmon's standing as a promoter. He filed a lawsuit for breach of contract, but Kartel did not respond or defend himself. In March 2014, after a 65-day trial, Kartel was found guilty along with Sean Campbell, also known as Sean Storm, Kahira Jones, and Andre St. John. Shane Williams, another associate, was cleared. In April 2014, Justice Lennox Campbell sentenced Kartel to life in prison with no chance of parole until serving 35 years. Campbell and Jones were set to serve 25 years before parole, and St. John 15 years. He was also charged with attempting to interfere with the case. Police said his protege, Vanessa Sadler, also known as Gaza Slim, gave a false statement at a Kingston station, saying she had been robbed by Williams 5 days after Kartel was charged. Phone records suggested Kartel told her to make the report. The Kingston court later released a 235-page ruling explaining why it upheld the guilty verdicts of Kartel, Campbell, Jones, and St. John. The judges wrote that although nobody was found, the jury relied on correct and circumstantial evidence, including technology records and witness testimony, in reaching its decision. After 13 years in prison, Kartel's conviction was overturned because of bribery attempts by one of the jurors during the original case. He has since been released. Ninja Man. Desmond Ballantyne, known as the improvisational dancehall artist Ninja Man, was close to signing with Columbia Records in the 1990s, according to former label executive Maxine Isis Stowe. Even though he won almost every Sting clash between 1989 and 1995, he never joined an international label. Some of his rivals signed abroad and built global careers. Stowe explained that Shabba Ranks was the first to sign in 1990, with Epic, while Specialist helped in that process. She said she wanted to sign Ninja Man and was in talks with him, but matters around his situation in Jamaica, including court cases and other offers, stopped it from happening. Ninja Man was born in Anato Bay, St. Mary. His name echoed the lines of Honeyboy Martin's 1968 song, Dreaded Than Dread, in which Martin declared himself the rudest of all rude boys. Entering the music business in 1980 under the name Double Ugly, Ninja Man drew comparisons to Michael Jackson because of his ability to command an audience without speaking. His first single, Ugly Man, was recorded under the guidance of Super Cat and Early B. Between 1989 and 1992, he released songs such as Border Clash, Permit to Bury, Murder Dem, and Above the Law. Businessman Wayne Chen, who once booked him, noted that Ninja Man had a reputation for being complex, cantankerous, unreliable, and unpredictable, which may have been one reason why he was never signed to a label. His legal issues began to appear in the mid-1990s. In July 1996, he was arrested and charged with possession of a firearm. He had been scheduled to perform at Reggae Sunsplash, but missed it after bail was revoked, when it was found that he had previously absconded from bail in 1993 for a shooting case. In January 1997, he was charged with breaches of the Dangerous Drugs Act after police found crack cocaine during a stop. He received a suspended sentence on the condition that he sought help for substance addiction. In April 1999, he was charged with the murder of taxi driver Anthony White. He was freed of the charge in July 2002, but only 4 days later, he was arrested again for using expletives during a performance at Carafest in Manchester. Wayne Chen, an attorney and owner of Superplus Supermarket, said Ninja Man's unpredictable behavior disrupted shows. When he failed to appear at one event, Chen replaced him with Cuddy Ranks. Although Gregory Isaacs and other performers entertained the audience, the crowd turned violent when they realized Ninja Man was not coming. Police fired bullets as the venue descended into chaos. Chen later said this was the end of his time as a concert promoter, as the stress of stage promotion was too great. At Sting, Ninja Man was remembered for some of the most intense clashes. One was with his mentor Super Cat in 1991, a night when bottles were thrown into the crowd. Soon after, Super Cat signed with Columbia Records and released the Don Dada album with executive producer Robert Livingston. In 1992, Ninja Man's performance at Sting was recorded for Sony Records, but it was never released, though promoter Lang said the tapes still exist. In 1993, Ninja Man was criticized in Jamaica for his lyrics that supported Sheen culture. After converting to Christianity in 1997, he took the name Brother Desmond and began performing gospel reggae songs. However, he soon returned to erratic behavior. In the early 2000s, after serving time in prison for accusations of killing a taxi driver, he attacked fellow entertainer Squidly Ranking with a knife on stage. Ranking later said that Ninja Man had arrived with gunmen who threatened his life, and police had to remove him from the venue. According to the Ranking, the rivalry lasted the following week when the two faced off at a Kingston recording studio. Ninja Man also appeared in several films, including Third World Cop in 1999, Rude Boy, The Jamaican Don in 2003, and Gangsta's Paradise in 2004. In March 2009, he and his son Janiel were arrested and charged with the murder of Ricardo Johnson. Though granted bail in 2012, delays pushed the start of the trial until January 2016. On November 20th, 2017, Ninja Man was found guilty of the 2009 murder and sentenced on December 18th, 2017, to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Jah Cure. Jah Cure, born Cicature Alcock on October 11, 1978, in Hanover Parish, Jamaica, grew up in Kingston. The artist Capleton gave him the name Jah Cure because of his youthful and healthy look. He began singing during his teenage years and quickly developed his craft. His breakthrough came in 1997 with the song King in This Jungle, a duet with Sizzla, produced by Barris Hammond. Hammond mentored and made his early songs, giving him an important platform. In 1998, he joined Hammond's Harmony House and toured across Europe and the Caribbean. In November 1998, while in Montego Bay, police arrested him after a woman reported that he forced her into a car at gunpoint, molested her twice, and robbed her. At that time, he was 19 years old. He faced charges of molestation, robbery, and gun possession. Granted bail, he continued touring until his trial. In April 1999, the court found him guilty, sentencing him to 15 years. On appeal, the sentence was reduced to 12 years. He always said he was innocent. He was later moved to Tower Street Prison, where there was a studio. Even in prison, he continued to release music. His albums included Free Jah's Cure in 2000, Ghetto Life in 2003, and Freedom Blues in 2005. Many of his songs reached the top of the Jamaican charts. Reports said he smuggled recording equipment into his cell to make music. In 2005, prison officials seized his gear and phone and gave him further punishment. His fans remained supportive, though some continued to doubt his innocence. His voice was described as soulful, and his hit Longing For became widely popular. On July 28, 2007, he was released on parole after serving 8 years. Soon after, he released the album True Reflections and performed for the first time at Reggae Sundance in the Netherlands. Following his release, he signed with VP Records. He went on to release several albums, including The Universal Cure in 2009, World Cry in 2013, The Cure in 2014-2015, which topped the Billboard chart and earned a Grammy nomination, Royal Soldier in 2019, and Undeniable in 2023. His catalog included songs such as Hot Long Time and Unconditional Love. He also collaborated with artists such as Flo Rida, Mavado, and Rick Ross. In 2011, he married Kamala McDonald. The couple had a daughter, Kailani, in 2012, but later divorced. In 2021, he was arrested in Amsterdam for stabbing a promoter. In 2022, he was convicted of attempted manslaughter and sentenced to 6 years. Prosecutors appealed for a longer sentence. In 2024, he marked his 46th birthday in a Dutch prison, where he expressed gratitude to the staff. His legal matters continued into 2025. Zebra Garfield Vassel. Zebra, whose real name is Garfield Vassel, was born around 1972 in Linstead, St. Catherine, Jamaica. He is the son of singer Dennis Walks, known for the 1971 hit Drifter. During childhood, he lived in various places including Spanish Town, Central Village, Hanover, and Montego Bay. In 1990, he began his music career as a DJ with Strikeforce Sound System. He also performed with other systems, including Turbo Crown, Dan Rubin, City Rock, Stone Love, Metro Media, Adonai, Black Scorpio, Gemini, Bodyguard, and Exodus Nuclear. His career gained attention when he majorly succeeded at the Sting Festival in 1998. His first hit came in 1991 with Way You Run Fa, produced by Prince Jazzbo on the Ujamaa label. This led to an album of the same name, later re-released in 1999 as The Winner with additional tracks. The title song used the Drifter rhythm from his father's well-known single. Over time, he recorded with labels such as King Jammies, Steely and Clevy, The Mixing Lab, Q45, and Shines. Some of his better-known songs included Picture 5 Frame, Redder Than Red, and Rupert. His style was often compared to that of DJ Tiger, and this similarity created a rivalry. Artists Kiprich and Leftside released the tribute to Tiger and Zebra about both performers. In 2001, Zebra was convicted of sexual molestation, assault at common law, indecent assault, and breaching probation. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Some accounts state that he was convicted in 2002 with an 8-year sentence. He served 7 years at Tower Street Correctional Center and was released on September 9, 2008. In April 2009, he faced new accusations of sexually molesting the daughter of his girlfriend who lived with them. Reports gave her age as 12, 13, or 14. On April 8th, she said he raped her after locking doors and windows and making threats. On April 10th, he was accused of committing buggery after calling her home. He denied the charges, claiming they were linked to family disputes involving religion and inheritance. In November 2010, he was convicted of rapee and buggery in the St. Catharines Circuit Court. Some reports described the charges as carnal abuse and buggery. He was sentenced to 30 years of hard labor, with 20 years for rapee and 10 years for buggery. The sentences were ordered to run concurrently starting February 19, 2011, though some accounts stated consecutively. He later appealed, arguing that there was insufficient evidence and his trial was unfair. On March 8, 2013, The Court of Appeal dismissed the appeal and ruled that the convictions were sound. Don Drummond. Don Drummond was born on March 12, 1934, in Kingston, Jamaica, at Jubilee Hospital. His parents were Doris Monroe and Uriah Drummond. He grew up in a rough area and attended Alpha Boys School, which was made for boys from poor families. At the school, he learned how to play the trombone from teachers like Father George Horan. He later taught younger students, including Rico Rodriguez, how to play the instrument. Drummond began his music career in 1950 when he was 16 years old. He joined Eric Dean's All-Stars, a jazz band in local clubs. In the 1950s and early 1960s, he performed with several big bands in Jamaica. He often played at places like the Big Bucket and the Silver Slipper in Kingston. His smooth trombone sound blended jazz with local rhythms, and he became known as one of the finest trombonists in the world, even being mentioned alongside respected names such as George Shearing. During the 1960s, ska music began to rise in Jamaica. Drummond was one of the people who helped create it. In 1964, he joined the Skatalites, a group that combined jazz, mento, rhythm, and blues into ska. Drummond wrote many songs for the band, including Man in the Street and Eastern Standard Time. His trombone solos gave the music its unique sound. The Skatalites recorded hits and played live shows that later shaped reggae music. Around this time, Drummond also turned to the Rastafari faith, which influenced his life and music, adding a spiritual depth to his work. Drummond lived with his girlfriend, Anita Margarita Mahfood, a 23-year-old rumba dancer and singer. She was well known in Kingston and called him Malungu, which meant strong man. Their relationship was troubled. Drummond had mental health problems and took medication. They argued often, and he grew jealous of her job. On New Year's Day, January 1st, 1965, Mahfood was found dead in their home with 4 stab wounds to her chest. Drummond called the police and said she had stabbed herself during an argument. When officers arrived, he appeared unkempt, with a long beard and dirty nails. The police arrested him at once. His trial took place in 1966. Drummond's defense was that he was not guilty by reason of insanity. Doctors confirmed that his mind was affected by his illness. The court found him guilty of murder, but declared him insane. He was sentenced to life and sent to Bellevue Hospital in Kingston, a mental institution with prison conditions. Drummond remained at Bellevue for 4 years. He did not play music there, and his health declined due to poor food, wrong medication, or stress. On May 6, 1969, at the age of 35, he passed away. Doctors listed natural causes, including heart failure, though others believed it was due to medicine or possible outside interference. The actual reason remains uncertain. Drummond never performed outside of Jamaica, but his music lived on. The Skatalites influenced Bob Marley and many reggae artists around the world. In the year 2013, Heather Augustin published Don Drummond, The Genius and Tragedy of the World's Greatest Trombonist. That same year, a ballet called Malungu was staged to tell his story. Drummond is remembered as a musician who helped build ska, while his sad ending reflected the hardships of life in Jamaica during his time. Bounty Keller. Bounty Keller began his music career in 1990 with his first record under the name Bounty Hunter. In 1992, he released Copper Shot at King Jammy's studio. The song became a popular hit in Jamaica and New York. In 1993, he gained attention at the Sting Festival, where he clashed with rival Beanie Man. Their feud lasted for years, but ended with collaborations, including Legendary in 2014 and a Versus Battle in 2020. He released 4 albums in 1994, and his rise continued. His 1996 album, My Experience, stayed on the Billboard Reggae chart for 6 months. Bounty Keller brought together dancehall, hip-hop, and reggae. He worked with artists like Busta Rhymes, Fugees, Mobb Deep, and No Doubt. In 2002, he won a Grammy Award with No Doubt for Hey Baby in the Best Pop Duo category. The single sold more than 1 million copies. He later released albums such as Ghetto Dictionary, Art of War in 2002, and its sequel in 2009, which received a Grammy nomination. He signed with VP Records for Nah No Mercy in 2006. In 2012, fans voted him the greatest dancehall icon, and in 2013, he was named DJ of the Year. In 2020, he announced a new album with Damian Marley as producer. Bounty Killer also faced a troubled life with several arrests, many of them linked to violence against women. In June 2006, police charged him with harming the mother of his child. He was accused of punching her face, dragging her, and slamming her head into a wall. In July 2009, he was arrested for harming an off-duty police officer during a club fight, and he faced up to 15 years in prison if convicted. In April 2010, he was arrested at home for molesting his girlfriend of 3 years. She told police he beat her because she wanted to end their relationship and that he threatened her. He spent 2 weeks in jail before being granted $200,000 bail. Later, the woman was charged with public mischief for lying. In September 2010, he was charged again after a woman appeared at a police station, bruised and bleeding. She said he had beaten her with a hammer during an argument in his apartment. Police charged him with unlawful wounding and denied bail at first. His trial began in November 2010, but was postponed to January 2011, where he pleaded not guilty. He had multiple prior assault convictions from these matters. In 2013, Bounty Killer was convicted of hard drugs possession in Jamaica. On July 25th, he was fined $5,000, although the judge said the matter would not go on his record. He had earlier faced hard substance charges in 2009 and 2010, along with other arrests. By 2018, he said he had quit smoking as it could damage his career. In recent years, Bounty Killer, now 53 years old, has said he has changed. In 2020, he posted videos speaking against men controlling or hurting women, calling out domestic abuse. He has focused more on music and mentoring young artists. His earnings from tours and recordings place his net worth at around $2 million. Despite the troubles that marked his past, he remains a leading name in dancehall music. Buju Banton. Buju Banton, born Mark Anthony Myrie on July 15, 1973, in Kingston, Jamaica, became one of the world's most well-known reggae and dancehall performers. His strong voice and lyrics often address social struggles and life experiences, earning him widespread respect and admiration. Songs such as Boom Bye Bye and Untold Stories carried his name far beyond Jamaica. In 2011, his album Before the Dawn earned him a Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album, securing his place as one of the leading voices of his generation. His career, however, was overshadowed by a significant legal case in the United States. In December 2009, Banton was arrested in Florida after a Drug Enforcement Administration sting operation. The investigation began when Banton was introduced to a confidential informant who posed as a substance trafficker. On December 8, 2009, in Sarasota, Florida, Banton met with the informant and discussed a possible purchase of 5 kilograms of cocaine. During this meeting, Banton tasted the hard substance and spoke about the terms of a deal, though he never actually took the substances into his possession. Nevertheless, these interactions were secretly recorded on audio and video by the Drug Enforcement Administration, and they later became the primary evidence against him. On December 10, 2009, agents arrested Banton at his home in Tamarack, Florida. He was charged with conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute more than 5 kilograms of cocaine, a violation of federal law in the United States under Section 846 of Title 21 of the United States Code. Banton's legal battle lasted for a couple of years. His first trial began in September 2010. After days of arguments, the jury could not unanimously decide, and the judge declared a mistrial. A second trial was scheduled for February 2011. This time, prosecutors argued that Banton had knowingly entered into a plan to deal drugs. They presented the recorded conversations where he was heard discussing profits and transport arrangements. The defense argued that Banton was trapped by the government informant and had no intention of becoming involved in drug trafficking before he met the informant. Despite the defense's case, the jury convicted Banton on 3 counts: conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute cocaine, attempted possession of cocaine, and possession of a firearm in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime. Later, Judge James S. Moody Jr. dismissed the firearm charge because there was insufficient evidence to support it. On June 24, 2011, Banton was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. His lawyers filed an appeal, stating that the use of the informant amounted to entrapment and that errors had been made during the trial. In 2013, a federal appeals court reviewed the case. The court upheld his conviction, but found that there had been mistakes in how the jury was instructed. Because of this, a resentencing was ordered. In June 2014, Banton's sentence was reduced. Considering the time he had already served in prison and credit for good behavior, the court lowered the sentence to just over 6 years. This meant that Banton would not serve the 10 years originally handed down. After prison, Banton returned to music. In 2020, he released Upside Down 2020, which gained a Grammy nomination. In 2023, he released Born for Greatness, where his songs reflected his experiences with messages of spirituality. He performed tours and public appearances, including a spiritual visit in 2024. In an interview that year on Drink Champs, he spoke about the strength needed to preserve his spirit during imprisonment. In 2025, he addressed public criticism after prison, confirming his marijuana use while denying involvement in substance sales, and speaking openly about his time behind bars and recorded videos. His personal life, including his role as a father of 17 children and his financial standing, was widely covered in 2025 reports. His career, marked by controversy and recognition, remains an integral part of the story of Jamaican music. Capleton. Capleton, born Clifton. George Bailey III on April 13, 1967, in Islington, St. Mary, Jamaica, was given his stage name by a local lawyer. He grew up with a love for music, influenced by Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. He began his career in 1989 with the song #1 on the Look Good chart. He mixed roots reggae with dancehall and earned the nickname The Fireman for his fiery and spiritual lyrics. His songs became more conscious after joining the Rastafari faith in 1991. Albums such as More Fire in 1992, Prophecy in 1995, and I, Testament in 1997 marked his rise. Songs including Tour, Wings of Love, and Who Next gave him recognition around the world. He performed at major festivals and worked with artists such as Yami Bolo. In the 2000s, his lyrics faced legal scrutiny. Some groups accused him of promoting violence against LGBT people through homophobic songs. The Stop Murder Music campaign targeted him, leading to canceled shows in Europe and other places. In 2007, he signed the Reggae Compassion Act, promising to avoid such lyrics. In May 2018, Capleton was arrested and charged with molesting a minor in Jamaica. He was granted bail of $250,000. The case was dismissed in March 2019 after a committal hearing found no evidence to continue. As of 2025, no further updates have been made public. Despite these challenges, Capleton remains a central figure in reggae, now focusing his music on positive messages. Reggae is renowned for its emphasis on social justice and unity. However, some of its legends lead lives that starkly contrast the lyrics in their songs. Whose crime surprised you the most? Let's hear from you in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please click the video on your screen.